Alright, I seriously think this might be the craziest isekai I've ever seen. So Iseleve, also known as I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World, I think has found a new way to top itself, and even if by accident, when your main character pretty much declares he wants to bed the princess in front of the king, I mean, that's a pretty hard level to top, and Yuya's life, and going from this like average guy getting bullied to just his luck stat causing these situations to occur, where he fights off motorcycle gangs, he suplexes a grizzly bear, to casually bringing in one of his potential love interests, hell, at this point don't even call them love interests, one of his girlfriends into his isekai world, where he basically ropes her in saying, yeah, this is a very special promise, just you and me. I can't wait till Kaori ends up meeting his wife, aka his future fiance, the princess, and his other girlfriend, the assassin that tried to kill said princess, but seemingly the princess is also kind of into. Everything I'm saying is actually true for what this show has done, and even if he might be oblivious to it, you can't top the power of the Harem King, aka Yuya from Iseleve. Full live reaction episode 11 is available on my Patreon if you do want to see my full uncut thoughts. I think this is probably the best episode. They have been having fun in the second half of this show. First half, great characterization, self-hatred, self-loathing. How does someone who still looks at himself as ugly and obese and just worthless and gets stepped on turn into someone to actually appreciate his new life? And with the second half just almost feeling like a parody of what you typically see. Something that, you know, I've mentioned before in previous videos, I've had conversations in the comment section, is I do wonder how long until someone else from whether fantasy world to modern day Earth or modern day Earth to fantasy world till that starts to transfer. Now, granted, there is clearly a barrier, so only people he allows can come to and from, but as we see, they didn't waste any time. Study date quickly became, I discovered your fantasy door, and rather than the, oh my god, I'm freaking out, she's just kind of like, yeah, you kind of weird, but alright, let's go in. And it's just kind of adorable because then it opens up possibilities of more characters, whether from fantasy to normal or normal to fantasy. And I'm glad that instead of wasting time episodes upon episodes of her pretending like she didn't see anything but clearly did and him maybe freaking her out, instead they're like, this show is goofy, it is silly. There's elements of serious, I mean the kind of political sabotage, assassination plot lines, Yuya's self-loathing, those are serious elements, but as a whole, this show is all about fun, and fun they're having. So Yuya casually picking up this like fancy bedding from some sheep that he kills, right? What ends up happening there is probably my favorite moment I've seen from this show because the king already wasn't happy with him. Not only is apparently his daughter now engaged to a man he's never met, Owen drops the bombshell that they may have spent the night together, and honestly, if I was in this world, if I had to have one job, I would love to be the person who designs the furniture for that kingdom, because the number of times in such a short amount of episodes we've seen this king pull his sword out and cut apart thrones or chairs or couches, you just know the person repairing or just delivering the furniture for this castle is making mad bank because this king's got a few screws loose, and if his daughter says that she hates him, it pretty much puts him into life support right then and there. But the idea of him pulling out because he needs a gift because the king's freaking out, and he just drops like a pillow and like a comforter, and just the whole crowd is just like, oh my. Of course, Princess is just melting and is like so bold. She was ready to strip down right there, it felt like. But the king was like, so you're gonna seriously tell me that you're gonna bed my daughter and carry her off to her wedding night? You got some nerve, boy. And honestly, I don't know what would have happened if the assassins didn't jump out in that moment. Like, I don't think Yuya would have hurt the king, but you know, something that would have had to happen. Maybe Luna would have like did the same thing she did earlier in the episode and like restrained the king. I don't know. But a show that can casually have an assassin turned bodyguard, potentially love interest, honestly, I still think that princess was a little bold when it came to her. The idea that you can just casually bring someone who's normal, has no idea of magic existing, going to say, yeah, sure, this doorway makes sense, and sure, these pets of yours are weird species from this other world. This show has no chill, but that's what makes it so fun. This episode was perfect because it had a solid production style, the art was crisp, and honestly the design of the market and the general people looked really solid. But it's like the little moments that just will make you burst out laughing, like him accidentally saying, yeah, I'm gonna bed your daughter and marry her, in front of the king who's already willing to cut your throat. to just the fact that he doesn't understand currency in a world like this, so he pulls out these basically salt and pepper shakers, all things considered, and honestly, the fact that when he learns what currency is, like, 4 gold coins is basically like, yeah, a family of 4 solid off 4 gold coins in a year, and he got paid 100 for just like 6 to 8 little vials of spices and stuff. Like, our boy is set. So what do you do if there isn't really a threat of danger in the way of like, oh, he's struggling financially, or oh, he's struggling because he can't defeat this character? Instead, just have a insanely fun story of like a slice of life, because slice of lives in general, they're not really about struggling, it's just about watching the day-to-day adventures of those characters. So by just setting it with this fantasy environment, it just makes it into this weird comedy-like parody, but fun cast of characters. And Owen, as an example, the knight that pretty much has to deal with all the BS of the father and daughter, he doesn't get paid enough, but every time you see him, you just know you're gonna have a grand time, because he's probably gonna be sweating buckets, and boy did he sweat buckets, not once but multiple times in this episode. If anything, I think the second half of this show is even better than the first half. I think the first half was smart at really getting us to like Yuya as a character, feeling bad for him, feeling like even after getting this magically hot body, he looked at himself as ugly because of how he was treated his whole life. We got to really see him as a person, and while yes, there was a lot of coincidences and all these crazy moments that would realistically happen in our world, no. But in our world, do we also have magical gateways that go to Fantasyland? No as well. So we obviously are not in a exact picture image of our own reality. So by doing that, we get to know him as a person, feel like he's a genuinely good person, so that the second half, when it just pretty much goes off the rails and has fun, yeah, I'm here for the roller coaster ride that is Iseleve. And I think one of the best examples I can give for something just really working so well, it's small moments, but really those small moments just kind of add up to the craziness that we do end up watching. So we have this moment when basically he gets to his first market, his first town, and he sees like beast people, right? They look like human, but they have like dog ears or cat ears and tails. And most of the time when an isekai main character sees that for the first time, bloody nose, oh my god, this is gonna join my harem, but he's just like genuinely interested. He's like, wow, that's really fascinating. That's the type of person he is and why he's such a fun character to follow. He may be dense to things happening around him, and, you know, obviously sometimes he realizes it, but other times he's like, oh, I wonder what she meant by that. But by having a genuinely nice character that you felt bad for at the start and are happy to see him succeed now, it makes these cliche moments turn into things that are just way more interesting and engaging, and that's what I really like about this show. It's legit one of the shows I enjoy watching the most. Not my favorite show of the season, but hands down one of my personal favorite shows to watch each week, because as someone who has seen more fantasy isekai style shows than your average anime fan, seeing things that I normally would either roll my eyes at or not really enjoy too much and find boring are just really fun. And that's all I need an anime to be at the end of the day, is fun. But this episode and show in general does have moments that are more than just fun, but the heart and soul is just having a ridiculous fantasy show, and a ridiculous fantasy show we have indeed. Now let me know what you thought down below, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Iseleve on the channel, and as I mentioned, full live reaction to this insane episode is available on my Patreon if you're interested. And while you're there, you'll also get a video shoutout. So today we have Philos, Fruity Rudy, Lordaguy66, Mai, and Jonathan Bromlow. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.